Hello everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. And today we are going to finally lock in and start taking down my physical TBR. So TBR Take Down is a series I started on my channel about a year or two ago, but I haven't made an episode in a long time. Moving across the country will kind of do that to you, and I am also about to move back across the country, so things are about to get crazy and chaotic. But I just got back from hiking, and after I went hiking, I accidentally stumbled my way into a Barnes & Noble, and it was, I'm not kidding, the best Barnes & Noble I've ever been to. I don't know, there's something about it. It was just like so enclosed. I was walking and I was like, this one is so small, it's gonna be boring. No, it was so good. And I walked out with 5 books. Yep, that now puts my physical TBR at 240 books. This is the biggest it's ever been, and I would like it to be less than 200. I would like it to be less than 100, but it's going to take some time to get there. I have been reading a ton of books from my library, which is great, fantastic, support your libraries, but I also need to support my own library. Yeah, 240 books. We need to support my own library. So we're gonna use a spinner wheel to help us pick books. So it's gonna be completely random, and I have every book on my physical TBR on this wheel. That means sequels and series I haven't started, things like that, nonfiction, classics. I'm not a nonfiction or classics girly, so we'll see, but I'm gonna have to read it. The catch is, if I do land on a book that's like a second or third or so on book in a series and I haven't started it, obviously I'm going to start the book that I'm on, not just a random book in the series. One other catch is I have all of my unread Stephen King books on here, but for the past 4 years or so, I've been reading all of his books in publication order, and so I don't want to stop doing that. So if I do land on a random Stephen King book, I'm just going to pick up the current book of his that I am on in order. So let's start. I'm really nervous. I don't know what I want, but I know after my Barnes & Noble trip, I am in such a reading mood, and since I currently am not working because I finally quit the job that ruined my life, and my next job doesn't start until like August, we need to start reading and tackle this TBR and take it down once and for all. So here we go. We're gonna start spinning. Give us a good one. Please don't start off on a bad note. Please give us a good one. Here we go. What is it? Okay. Oh my gosh. We're starting with a classic. Not a classic, but a young adult classic from when I was a teenager. So what better way to start taking down my TBR than reading a book that I have had on my TBR for probably 10 years at least? This is Fallen by Lauren Kate. I believe this is a young adult kind of like fantasy romance, like an OG YA fantasy romance about angels. Like this one was written in the early 2000s? 2009. I'm so excited because I am trash for these books. I'm almost 30 and I still cannot help but get sucked in. So this is the first one we're gonna take down for my TBR. This is gonna hit. It's gonna be so good. I am 100 pages in to Fallen, and I'm loving it right now. Like, I don't know what to say. It is taking me back. It is so Twilight coded, and I'm obsessed already. I'm hoping those vibes carry on and I'm not like jinxing it right now, but it's entertaining me for sure. Okay, sorry, I had to delete footage on my camera to clear up space. But anyway, back to Fallen. So in this one, we follow this girl named Luz, and something terrible has happened at her old school, and she is basically getting blamed for this big crime that happened. So she is getting sent to Sword and Cross Reform School, and this is kind of where like the bad kids go. Like, I'm not just talking about like behavior, but also like criminals go to this school. It's very dark and depressing. There's a cemetery on the grounds that they go and hang out at, which I absolutely love. The vibes in here are so good. Today it's actually very, very cloudy, like rainy, misty all day, which is perfect for the vibes of this book. So anyway, Luce is going to this reform school, and her first day there, she sees this boy named Daniel, and for some reason he seems very familiar to her, and she is very drawn to him. But Daniel wants nothing to do with Luz. He's kind of like this mysterious, like standoffish guy, and every time she tries to approach him, he is just kind of a jerk to her. and she's trying to figure out what this big secret is, like why he's acting like this to her, and why she's also feeling like really drawn to him. One thing about Luce too is like she kind of sees like shadows, and so she has been kind of labeled as crazy her whole life, so obviously these shadows are probably going to come into play later. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this series is about fallen angels, so obviously we're going to get that at some point and get some kind of massive reveal. I don't know anything else about it, but this, like I said, is so Twilight coded, because you get the girl that's like inexplicably drawn to a boy, and the boy is mysterious and standoffish and is like, you need to stay away from me. And then he's like, it's probably better for you if you stay away from me. I eat that up. I will never get tired of that. Like, I don't know what it is, what's broken inside of me, that just like works for me every single time. But like also the vibes and the mood is also just so Twilight coded, and I know that 15-year-old me would have eaten this up just like 29-year-old me is eating this up. I literally don't age. Like, my maturity doesn't age. So I'm loving this. It is only like 9:30 a.m. so I'm going to read all day, like a lot of this today. I am hoping to get at least halfway through. We'll see. This is kind of like a bigger first book in a series. It's like 450 pages, but the writing is like, the text is pretty big in here, and the writing is just like so digestible and like popcorn, and you just want to keep reading, so it reads pretty quickly as well. I'm just really loving the setting. I'm so intrigued with the characters because they're all like morally gray, so we'll see where this goes, but so far I'm loving it. Okay, I am on page 219. I am now halfway through, and I just love paranormal romance so much. I think at the beginning when I was introducing this, I said like, oh, romantasy. No, paranormal romance. And I had just forgotten how paranormal romance is like my favorite thing of all time. Like, I am living again. I am thriving. I love the characters in this so much, and I just love like the mystery. I love like the darkness of it, and it's still like we're halfway through and we don't know what's going on. There's a lot of weird things happening, and I'm just like, there's so many hints that I'm like, I need to remember this for later because it's gonna come into play. And I just feel like it's one of those things where everyone at this school knows something is going on except for our main character Luce, and she thinks, oh, this is just like a normal school. Girl, I don't think it's normal. I don't think it is. But yeah, halfway through, I am just loving it. I'm so tempted to just like buy the other books in the series. Here's all the books back here. I'm so tempted to buy them, but no, we are taking down the TBR, not adding to it. Although starting a really good series is not a great way to take down your TBR. But anyway, I think right now I am going to take a nap. I am starting to get a little sleepy, so I'm gonna take a little nap, and then I will read more of this later. I don't know if I'll finish it today. I think it's doable, but I also don't want to set like that expectation for myself that I have to finish it today. I'm just kind of going with the flow, reading what I feel like, and right now I feel like a nap. Okay, I'm filming this update outside because it's like 6 a.m. and everyone inside is sleeping, so I wanted to not be super loud. But last night I finished Fallen by Laura and Kate, and I absolutely love this. I gave it 5 stars. I just like ate it up. I read it so fast. I read this entire like 450 page book yesterday. I could not put it down. I really enjoyed the writing. It was so easy to digest. I loved the characters. I felt like they were all very weird and very unique, and the setting was magnificent. I loved the school. I loved how dark and kind of creepy it was, and just how mysterious everything was. I really liked our main character Luce. I thought she was smart and strong, and then the angel lore was also really fascinating. We didn't get a ton of it in this book, but we'll definitely get more of it as the series goes on, and I have no idea what's gonna happen in the rest of the series, but I really enjoyed this. If you are like mentally mature, you might not. I hate when people say, I'm too old for YA. I just can't relate anymore. That could not be me. I'm almost 30 and I just don't believe you can be too old for YA, because I feel like I can still relate and these characters still hit so hard. But 5 stars for this. One last book on my TBR, which means it is time to spin the wheel to figure out what I'm going to be reading next. This is honestly like my favorite part. I mean, my favorite part is reading 5-star books, but I also love spinning the wheel. So here we go. Once we get this, I am gonna have to go back upstairs to get the book. Didn't quite think this through, but please give me something good. What's it gonna be? Okay. Oh my gosh, we're starting another series. The question of the day is, where exactly is that book? Okay, that took me way longer to find this than necessary, but here is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. If you're wondering why I have book stacks everywhere in my room, it's because when I moved to Colorado from Texas in August, I didn't bring bookshelves. I was planning on buying completely new shelves throughout the months that I moved here, but things got really expensive and so I couldn't afford them. I had to cut my losses and be like, okay, these are just stacks of books. And now I am moving back to Texas, and Texas is a lot cheaper of a state, so I'm hoping soon I can get new bookshelves again so they're not just stacked in my new place. Okay, but as for this book, the TBR wheel really said, if you're going to tackle your TBR, we're going to make you read all of the books that you've had on your TBR the longest, because I have owned this book for so long. I can't remember exactly when the article came out about Tom Holland being in the adaptation for this book, but I was so excited. As soon as I saw Tom Holland's name associated with the story, I immediately bought the book so I could read it in anticipation for the movie, and the movie never came out. Like, this has been at least 5 years. I would say closer to 10 years at this point. And so this has been on my TBR for that long. I have lost hope that the movie is going to come out. At this point, if it does, I feel like it would be a little weird because Tom Holland would look so much younger. But the synopsis of this does also sound interesting. It's about people who can hear others' thoughts. I'm not sure if this is an apocalyptic type story, maybe a futuristic type thing, but we'll see. This is over 500 pages, but the writing does look pretty digestible. Hopefully it's short chapters, but we'll see. I'm going to sit down and read this morning. As for my plans for today, I do have physical therapy a little bit later today, and I am also going to start packing up my books to move. So tomorrow I am driving down to Texas. It's about a 14-hour drive. Now, a lot of people might be like, girl, that's crazy. It's not a bad drive. I like driving. I grew up doing road trips all across America, which is a giant country. I am from Texas, which is a giant state, so I love driving. I'm actually really excited to drive down there. However, that's going to cut into my reading time for tomorrow, but I will be back home for a few days, and I'm obviously going to continue this video. I think what I'm going to do is do a few spins in advance so that I can take the books with me. But I'm not moving everything right now because it's just me and my car. And so I'm going to fit what I can into the car so I can put everything in storage until I officially move into my place. It's chaotic. There's a lot of moving going on. But I think what I'm going to do is take my read books and move those so that way I can keep my unread books here for a little bit longer, just so I have those to choose from, especially because I don't know what the wheel's going to give me. But that is the plan for today. I'm not going to start packing up my car until this afternoon probably. So I do have this morning to read until PT, but that is the plan. Things are about to get crazy. My life is about to get crazy, but hopefully my life is about to get happier. I am a fake fan because the movie for this book came out in 2021, and it's on Hulu. So the title of this entire series is called Chaos Walking, and the movie is called Chaos Walking, and it came out in 2021, and I didn't even know. And the cast is star-studded. Like I said, I wanted to watch it because Tom Holland, but it's an all-star cast. So after I read this, I might potentially watch that as well. But a reading update with this book, I am now on page 104, so I'm just over 100 pages in, and this is so interesting. So we live in this world, it's called the New World. And in this world, decades ago, there was a war and a germ was let out, and this germ kills all the women, all the girls, every female in the world is now dead. So it's all just men and boys. And our main character here, he is 12 years old and he is about to become a man in his society. So his name is Todd. He lives in Prentice Town, and in this town they can all hear everyone's thoughts. They call it the noise, so they can all hear everyone's noise, everything you think, everything that goes on in your head, every nasty thought, they can hear it all. Just imagine being in a town with men and you can just hear men's thoughts constantly, and this 12-year-old boy is talking about some of the things he hears and how it's not great. So he is going around one day doing his farming duties, and he comes across a secret, and of course his noise gets out, and so the town starts coming after him, and his two adopted dads that he lives with tell him he has to run. So Todd, at 12 years old, leaves his town, runs, tries to escape because his town is coming after him, when he stumbles upon a girl. Oh yeah, it's so good. And the writing is so interesting in here because he is a 12-year-old boy who is constantly hearing his noise and everyone else's noise. It is like a stream of conscious writing. It's really weird and interesting because at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. But because of how it's written, it reads so fast. So mind you, he is a 12-year-old boy, so we do get like younger thoughts or whatever, but he's also uneducated. He cannot read, he cannot write, he does not go to school. And so a lot of the words in here are misspelled or his grammar is not correct, things like that. And so it does take a little bit to like get used to that, but once you do, you're like in it because the writing at the end of the day is very simple because he's not educated. And again, because he can hear everyone's thoughts and everyone can hear his thoughts, the writing is very like run-on sentence, like stream of consciousness. Every thought that comes across his head is written down. It's so interesting and so captivating. And like I said, because of the way it's written, it reads so quickly and I'm having a great time. It's so interesting. I'm loving learning more about the world, how they came to be, because I think they're like settlers on this planet. Like I almost feel like they're from our world and then something happened where they had to go and like find a new planet, and then there's like spaceships and all this stuff. So it's kind of like apocalyptic, futuristic, sci-fi type of stuff, but also just like there's not a lot happening in this world, like no electricity or anything like that. And it's just interesting to see a world without women as well, and to see how these men kind of like, you know, survive. But it's so good so far. I'm so interested. This is the first book in a trilogy. So of course, second book of this video, and I'm starting another series, but I'm having a great time. I'm about to go to physical therapy, so hopefully I can read more of this later. Hi, good morning. It's like 5:30 in the morning. I am in my car getting ready to get on the road to Texas. You can see I have bins back here full of books. I was able to pack 4 bins in there and then a bin of my stuffed animals. I have a lot of stuffed animals as well as books. But reading update before I go, The Knife of Never Letting Go. I am on page 213. So I am almost halfway here and I am just really, really enjoying this. Like, it's so interesting and so good. And I honestly think the best part about it is the writing. I am not like a writing fiend. Most people are like, I want beautiful, lush writing. I typically hate beautiful, lush writing. I like simple. And maybe that's why I'm enjoying this so much, because it is written by like a 12-year-old boy. And so it's like as simple as it can get. The cool thing is too, because of the noise that they hear in their head and reading everyone's thoughts, we have seen on page like what that looks like. Because just imagine like being able to hear like hundreds of people's thoughts at one time, what that could be like. I'm trying to find the page because it can be overwhelming, and sometimes when you're reading from this book you feel overwhelmed just like the characters do as well. So here's an example of like what he hears in his brain. That is so cool that the author like put that in here to show us like a picture perfect example of how chaotic it is to hear everyone's thoughts. And the explorations, the adventure he's going on now, we're meeting new characters, we're learning more about the world, and it's still like so unknown to us as well as to him, because in this town he has grown up with men. He's learning he's been lied to his whole life, and so we are as unsure as he is about everything, because all we know about the world is what he knows. And it's just so fascinating, it's so interesting. I think Patrick Ness is a genius. I've read one book from him before, When a Monster Calls, I think that's what it's called. It was so popular back in the day, and I remember enjoying it, but it never stuck with me. I feel like this is gonna stick with me, but until now, I'm not gonna get like much reading done. I will read today because I have read every day since 2021, so like I will read today, whether that's just a chapter or what, but I am not, I'm gonna be on the road all day. Basically, I am estimated to get back home in Texas tonight at like 8 p.m. or so, but of course traffic stops, you know, I would say between 8 to 10 p.m. So let's get on the road, and hopefully next time I come to you, it's just gonna be even greater. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Okay, I've got about 4 hours left of my drive. It's 5:49 p.m. We're stuck at this construction road light, so I'm taking this time to read. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. Drive has been good so far, but I'm getting tired, and I haven't really eaten, but at least I'm reading. Alright, hello. I am clearly back home in Texas. Like you last saw, I drove down on Thursday. It is now Sunday, and it has just been full of kind of craziness and chaos and busyness. You might be able to tell, I don't know how well you can see in the background, but things are everywhere. Things are crazy. I don't know if I have really talked about it on my channel or if I've talked about it in this vlog already, but my parents are moving. This is my childhood home. I have been here since I was 11 years old, and I have lived most of my adult life in this house as well. So kind of like my childhood home and my adult home as well. But my parents are selling everything they own, selling the house. They bought a truck, an RV, and they're just traveling America. And they have to be out of this house. We have to be out of this house tomorrow at 3 p.m. So things are kind of chaotic because we are putting things in storage, taking things to my brother's house, selling things, packing things up. And then not to mention, I am also in the process of moving back down to Texas. So actually the town I'm moving to is about like almost 2 hours from my hometown, like further south. So my new town is gonna be like right on the coast of Texas. I'm basically like gonna be on the beach. The beach is gonna be like right next to me, which I'm not a beach person, but you know, we could have some cute fun moments there or whatever. But this is actually really sad to be saying goodbye to my home that I've known since I was 11, and like my parents moving out and everything. It's really sad, but we're making do. Change is good and good things are coming. But update on The Knife of Never Letting Go. I did just finish this and I really enjoyed it. I have talked a lot about the main premise being they can hear noise. They hear every waking thought you have. It's just such a loud world because the noise is constantly going. One of the cool things in here is the animals actually talk. They can talk out loud, but you can also hear their noise as well. So Todd has a pet dog in here called Manchi, and I am gonna go ahead and tell you because most people prefer to know, the dog does not make it to the end of this book. So I was really worried the entire time, and unfortunately that's the direction it went in. So I am gonna give this 4 stars, and I genuinely think it's because of the dog, and I just wanted the best for him, and unfortunately we didn't get the best for him. And I'm sorry if you think that's a spoiler, but I feel like it's good to know about the dog before you go into it, just so you can prepare yourself. It's not like the worst of the worst like animal scene I've ever seen, but it's still sad, still heartbreaking. But I did finish this. I am, like I said, giving it 4 stars. There is a short story back here that's about 27 pages, so I am gonna quickly read that. I'm not sure like when it takes place within the story, but this is definitely something I want to continue. I don't own the other books in the series, so unfortunately I cannot buy them right now. That does remind me, I did get a book. One of my pre-orders was here when I got here, so give me one moment and I'm gonna go get that so I can haul it for you. And then we're gonna up my TBR. So we like took down part of my TBR with this, and now we're just adding one more book right on it. All right, so the pre-order I got was Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. This cover is so beautiful, and then the font here is like shimmery. I love that. But I did pre-order this a long time ago. I love Ali Hazelwood. However, I have really not enjoyed her newest releases, and so every time she comes out with a new book, I get really scared and hesitant. I also think this might deal with some characters from Not in Love. That's what I've heard someone say, but I'm not 100% sure if that's true. And I really hope that's not the case because I hated Not in Love. But because this is a pre-order, it does come with a print that I'm not going to show you on my channel. But it is also signed and personalized because I do pre-order her books from a Texas independent bookstore, and she will always personalize them. So most of my books from her are actually signed and personalized, which is really great. But I will continue to read anything she puts out, even though I haven't enjoyed her last few new releases. Her early books are just so much better in my opinion, but still looking forward to this nonetheless. So plans for today, after I finish the short story here, I am going to continue my third book. Now, roll the clip where I spun for that book. Alright, this is me from the past. It is about 5:30 in the morning, so I'm talking a little quieter, but I need to spin the wheel before I leave for Texas to figure out what book I'm going to pick up after The Knife of Never Letting Go. So please give me a good one, something that is easy and quick to read while I am traveling and going back home. What is it going to be? I'm scared. Oh my gosh! Yes! Literally, the wheel is being so good to me this episode. I don't want to jinx it, but the first two books it chose for me were books that have been on my TBR for like the longest, which is a good thing. And then now it has chosen Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage for me. This is book 3 in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I started reading this when it first came out, but because of circumstances in my life, I haven't been able to read romance this year. But I think I might be trying to get back into it, and I honestly think it's because Love Island started back up, and I keep finding myself smiling at that. Like, I need to put myself in timeout because that is not okay. And so I'm like, maybe I just need to start reading romance again. The best part about this is I am over halfway through. I'm on page 180. So this is going to be really easy to take off my TBR. I am so excited. This is like the best pick the wheel could have chosen for me. Alright, back to the present. So clearly we got Lost and Lassoed, and I'm excited but also nervous. So like I said, I am on page 180, and I started this when it came out earlier this year. It was one of my most anticipated releases. This is Teddy and Gus's story, which is kind of like the one everyone has been waiting for, enemies to lovers. It is so good. However, this is also the romance book that I clearly had to put down, and this is the book that made me realize I can't read romance right now. But it has been about 4 months since I haven't been able to read romance, and I'm hoping I am getting back into it. Like I said, I've started watching the new season of Love Island, so I'm feeling a little romance blooming here. I just finished up the Curse of Dark and Lonely trilogy, and that is also pretty romance heavy. So I am feeling some vibes. Like when I was reading that series, I was like giggling a little and being like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. So I hope that means I am prepared to read romance again. You can see I literally stopped in the middle of a chapter reading this because the scene I was in, I vividly remember just like reading it, and I just started crying because of things I was going through in my life, and I realized I can no longer read romance. So I'm hoping this is what will be able to bring me back into one of my favorite genres, because I clearly have so many romance books on my TBR. It is in my top 3 genre, and I'm nervous because I don't want to get like kind of like triggered back to that moment again where I had to put this down, but I should be okay. I think I'm gonna be okay. I am stronger because of it. But yeah, I am a little over halfway, so this shouldn't take me long. I would love it if I could finish this today, but I don't know if that's possible because, again, with moving and everything, I'm helping my parents out. So we'll see what happens. I actually have less than I thought because this part back here is something else. So I don't know what that is, like extra things, but who knows. Anyway, I'm excited to read this, but first I gotta finish this short story, and then I will conquer the beast. Lots of exciting updates for you. First and foremost, this morning I did finish Lost and Lassoed, and I really, really love this. I found myself tearing up at a lot of the bits because Teddy was just so relatable in this book. There was a scene in here that I super resonated with, especially recently with my life. She told someone, she said that she wasn't doing okay, and they were like, oh, you'll get through it, you're Teddy, like you'll push on through. And she said, I am at the point where even when I tell people I'm not fine, they're so used to me being fine that they think I'm gonna make it. And what if they don't believe me when I tell them I'm not? That resonated with me because I just feel like every time in my life that I have been so deeply depressed, I've always made it through. So that set up this precedence that I will always make it through. But what if you come to a point in your life where you're genuinely like, I don't know if I will? And recently I feel like that happened to me, and of course, once again, I am making it through. But the fact that she was like, people aren't gonna believe me if I'm not fine because I always end up being fine. And I was like, oh my gosh, girl, yes. The family aspect in here, always so wonderful. Of course, the writer family, but also Teddy and her dad. I loved the connection between them, and there were a lot of heartfelt moments and sad moments and just really great overall. So I am glad to say that I was able to finish a romance. I don't think I am quite ready to continue binging romances back to back to back. I think I will need to continue taking breaks because there were a few moments in here that I was like, oh, still too soon. But overall, I think I'm going to give it 5 stars. I really do. I am going to give it 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read the next one. It is the last one in this series, and I just love this world. I love these people so much, and I just love the messages that these books have. Alright, my last clip got cut off because my friend arrived and I was at her house and she had pulled up in the middle of that clip, so I had to stop it. But I'm clearly back home in Colorado, and boy am I exhausted. It has been such an exhausting week moving my parents out of their house. They have so much stuff and we've been in that house for so long, and then also since I'm in the midst of moving, just figuring out where my stuff goes and things like that, and then just so much driving. I drove, I believe, like 2,500 miles this week, and I'm exhausted. Yesterday I started my drive home and I drove 11 hours, and then I realized I was not going to be able to stay awake, so I pulled over in a town in Colorado and stayed at a hotel there, and then I drove home this morning so I could make it in time for my physical therapy appointment. I also, on Monday, almost broke my arm. I was carrying a really, really large, like heavy dog kennel, and I fell. My knee is really bruised up, and my arm, I hit it right here and it just immediately swelled up. One of my rings cut into my hand and started bleeding, and I remember when I hit it, I looked down and immediately bump. And the thing is, it is so deeply bruised that you can't even tell it's bruised. You can maybe kind of see there's a little bit of raise there, but there's just a knot inside, and it's such a deep tissue bruise that you don't even get the satisfaction of showing how hurt you actually are. But the rest of the day, I had to keep my arm like this. I couldn't straighten it. I couldn't lift it higher than this. I was really concerned I broke it, but obviously, like, things are fine. It's just really bruised, so I can't, like, lean on it or hit it or anything. But that one was a close one. That is definitely the closest I've ever been to breaking anything, so that was kind of scary. But we got everything moved out of the house. I said goodbye to my home. Very, very sad. I actually don't like that. Like, I have always had that home to go back to, and now I don't have a home base to go back to. It's kind of scary. Like, I'm, like, out in the world on my own now, kind of. But it is nice because I am going to be teaching. I have my summers to go travel with my parents in their new RV, which is going to be great. Other than that, I got to see my new school. I got to meet some of my students, and I was introduced as Coach McKinney, which was so weird because the friend I'm moving in with, her and I went to high school together. My dad was also her coach, and so when she was like, all right, everyone, this is Coach McKinney, me and her looked at each other. We were like, that's weird. That's my dad. Like, that's so weird. But I'm excited for these new changes. Hopefully, like, I love it. I loved my last teaching position, so hopefully this one is great as well. But going to be a lot of moving. I am once again doing the whole moving thing in a few weeks, and I'm not looking forward to it because this week was so exhausting. It is peak summer, so it is so hot in Texas, triple digits, and I am just not looking forward to that. So hopefully it goes smoothly and quickly. But other than that, this is the wrap up for this vlog. 3 amazing, wonderful books: Fallen, The Knife of Never Letting Go, and Lost and Lassoed. I was like, what is that? Lost and Lassoed. 5 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars. Like, such good books. This video was so good, and the wheel did me so right. I actually am going to be doing another one of these videos sooner rather than later. Like, I'm not kidding. In like a week or 2, I'm probably gonna film another one because I just had so much fun, and it is such a fantastic way to finally read the books that have been on my TBR for like 10 years. I'm so glad that it chose Fallen and The Knife of Never Letting Go because those are some of the oldest books that I own. But I had a great time with this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Let me know if you've also loved any of these books. But that is it for this video. If you have made it this far, go ahead and leave the cowboy emoji. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, all my social media links will be down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye!